ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने बता दिया कि भारत शांति की कीमत जानता है, मगर कोई आंख दिखाए तो उसको उसकी भाषा में जवाब देना भी जानता है। As we salute our armed forces, we also bow our heads in grief for the lives lost in the tragic crash of Air India Flight 171. So many dreams were silenced in an instant. So many families were forever changed. May we therefore carry both our gratitude and our grief as a reminder of what truly matters. My dear shareholders, the world around us has changed dramatically over the past 12 months. Over 60 nations went to the polls. Borders were redrawn. Alliances tested and economies shaken. In the Middle East, war continued to cast shadows on energy and logistics. In Europe, economic confidence stumbled. The United States had its own challenges. And yet, in the middle of all this noise, India stood apart and grew faster than any other major nation. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of a vision, of intent, of policy. I say this with a full conviction that the Indian government, both at the center and across the states, has laid down the foundation for a truly historic transformations. A transformation not of a few, but for an entire nation whose best chapters are just beginning. My dear shareholders, as a youngster, I saw my mother as my guiding star. I recall her often saying, "History does not remember sailors who sailed in a still waters. It remembers those who fought the wildest storms and yet returned home." कहते हैं, लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, हिम्मत करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. And my dear shareholders, that is exactly what we have done. Even in the face of the storms and relentless scrutiny, the Adani Group has never backed down. Instead, we proved that a true leadership is not built in sunshine. It is constructed in the fire of crisis. This was tested again last year when we faced allegations from the US Department of Justice and the ACC relating to Adani Green Energy. Despite all the noise, the facts are that no one from the Adani Group has been charged with violating the FCPA or conspiring to obstruct justice. We live in a world where negativity often echoes louder than the truth. And as we cooperate with the legal processes, let me also restate that our governance is of global standards and our compliance frameworks are non-negotiable. And our numbers tell their own story. Even in a year of turbulence, we saw record-breaking revenue, unprecedented growth, and historic profitability. We are a proof of a group that dares to dream beyond constraints and powered by a nation that breathes possibility into every tomorrow ahead of us. Therefore, I say, मंजिलें क्या है, रास्ता क्या है, हौसला हो तो फासला क्या है. My dear shareholders, in FY25, our numbers were strong across all our sectors. We did more than just scale. We created impact, inspired change, and most importantly, deepened our national commitment. Let me walk you through a few examples of our progress. Adani Power crossed 100 billion units of generations, a scale never before matched by any private sector company. It is now well on track to reach 31 gigawatt capacity by 2030. Adani Green is building world's largest renewable energy park right here in India and visible even from space. From Khavda to the world, our target of 50 gigawatt by 2030 is a proof that scale and sustainability can coexist. In fact, when we combine our thermal, renewable, and pump hydro generations capacities, we expect to have 100 gigawatt capacity by 2030. Adani Energy Solutions handles smart metering, high voltage links, and is keeping India's grid future ready. It secured close to 44,000 crores in a transmission order and is executing 13,600 crore worth of smart metering projects. Adani New Industries is building electrolyzers and solar modules at a global scale, aligned with India's green goals. It is on track to expand its solar module manufacturing lines and will have a 10 gigawatt integrated solar module manufacturing facility in place by the next financial year. Adani Ports handled a record 450 million metric ton of cargo and became the beating heart of India's trade. With marine, trucking, warehousing, and even freight forwarding, we are creating a transport utility for the future. And in line with the Honorable Prime Minister's Gati Shakti mission, our logistic assets are powering MSME exports and reducing friction to increase India's global competitiveness. Natural resources produce a record 47 million tons of coal and iron ore and is on track to achieve over 30% growth by FY26. We also pioneered India's first hydrogen-powered mining truck. 2.5 years ago, when we acquired Holcim's cement business in India, we had made a bold commitment to double our capacity to 140 million ton by FY27-28. Today, I am proud to share that we have already achieved 72% of that target and crossed the 100 million ton per annum milestones. The fact is, we don't just build business, we build India's capabilities. Adani Airports also had a massive year of growth. We handled a record 94 million passengers help protect our forces and citizens. As I have always believed, we don't operate in a safe zones. We operate where it matters, where India needs us the most. And the same applies to building the data centers India needs to stay competitive and secure. We have projects exceeding hundreds of megawatt in various stages of constructions with the global hyperscalers, and have also launched gigawatt scale renewable powered data center campuses across multiple states. Coming to Adani Total Gas, this business now serves 1 million PNG customers and runs 3,400 EV charging stations across 22 states. This is real climate actions, not just climate talk. But perhaps our most transformative project is unfolding in Dharavi, Asia's largest slum, now being reimagined as India's most ambitious urban rehabilitation project. Our Dharavi social mission is uplifting youth through skilling, healthcare, and employment programs. And over 1 million people will move from a narrow lanes to our townships that will feature spacious layouts, dual toilets, open spaces, schools, hospitals, transit hubs, and parks. My dear shareholders, in terms of consolidated numbers at the group level, revenues grew by 7%, EBITDA by 8.2%, and our net debt to EBITDA ratio remained healthy at a 2.6x. Total revenues were 2,71,664 crores, and our adjusted EBITDA was 89,806 crores. And as I have stated in the past, our objective is not to just build businesses. It is to create new possibilities. Not just to serve markets, but to serve our nation's destiny. Not to chase valuations, but build the valuations brick by brick. And in this context, our capital investment across businesses is set to break all records. We anticipate an annual capex spend of $15 to $20 billion for the next 5 years. These are not just investment in our group, but investment in the possibilities for doing our part to build India's infrastructure. And before I start wrapping up, let me outline some of the programs that have me the most excited. Exactly 3 years ago, on my 60th birthday, my family pledged rupees 60,000 crore to redefine healthcare, education, and skill development in India. The Adani Healthcare temples are our first major steps, world-class, affordable, 1,000-bed campuses in Ahmedabad and Mumbai with medical colleges, research centers, and wellness spaces all integrated together. Mayo Clinic is our partner in guiding us to create a future-ready, AI-powered, patient-first healthcare ecosystems. In parallel, we have committed rupees 2,000 crores to build a world-class skill university and finishing school in Mundra, designed to empower youth from across India. Through schools of excellence, global certifications, and partnerships with leaders like ITES Singapore and IGCC, we aim to create an industry-ready workforce. And finally, let me end by talking about our participations at the Mahakumbh Mela. Over 650 million people came together, not as strangers, but as one soul, one purpose, one heartbeat. Along with ISKCON, the Adani Group initiated the Mahaprasad Seva, offering free meals to lakhs of devotees. More than 5,000 of our employees volunteered, reflecting the values we cherish. At the Triveni Sangam, I had the honor of performing the sacred Ganga Aarti with my family. And for the Adani Group to be part of this event was one of the most moving days of my life. My dear shareholders, let me conclude by saying that our nation's future is not written in our policy documents. It is written in the risk is entrepreneurs dare to take. We are not laying concrete. We are laying convictions, highways that carry ambition, ports that ship hope, and grids that light up futures. And history should remember us not for the size of our balance sheets, but for the strength of our backbone. Not for the markets we entered, but for the storms we handled and emerged stronger. For it is easy to lead in sunshine, but true leadership is forged in the face of crisis. कई मोड़ आए, कई तूफान गुजरे, पर कारवां रुका नहीं क्योंकि आप साथ थे. I promise you that the legacy of the Adani Group will not be reflected in the height of the towers it builds, but in the height of the beliefs we execute on. That is our truth. That is our promise. Thank you for being on this journey with us. The greatest chapters of our story are still ahead. Jai Hind. Bharat Mata ki Jai.